about Russia's place in the world of the 21st century. And were you in their spot, you would be the same, in my view, and I would. Where do they go? I had one interesting conversation with Zaganov, which was repeated with Lebed. They talked about they don't want this NATO expansion. They know it's not in their security interests and on, and said, well, and if you do that, we may have to look to China. And I couldn't help using the colloquial expression from my state by saying to Zaganov, lots of luck in your senior year. Good luck. And if that doesn't work, try Iran.
The passes to be able to go through and provide food assistance and vital assistance to a population that's in real trouble.
Would it not be possible to consider self-referral so that individuals don't have to go to a doctor, use up a doctor's time in order to get referred to specialist help? If you've got back pain and you want to see a physio, it ought to be possible, I think, to self-refer. If you've got internal bleeding and you just need a test, there ought to be a way that doesn't involve going to see a GP.
Tis but a scratch. I've had worse.
NASA is sharing the sound of a black hole, and it's kind of creating a buzz on social media.
Apparently so. Take a listen.
Добре відомі кожному на планеті.
So that we could hear it.
І ті, які
And that is what they...
Hey, buddy, what are you doing? Oh, my God.
Get out of that skirt! This is not a skirt! This is the kilt! We kilts are not weak, pansy, effeminate Sassenachs who might wear skirts. God knows your country's degenerate enough for anything. You deny home rule to Scotland, you leech upon the Scottish economy. If it wasn't for Scottish whiskey and North Sea oil, you'd be bankrupt.
My God.
And we're sick of being patronised by you. Do you realise this? That the 4 Scottish universities are the 4 finest medical schools in Britain, including St Swithin's? Do you realise that you bloody English never built any motorways in Scotland till there was nowhere else left to build them? London to Leeds, London to Manchester, London to Slough, Leeds to Birmingham, Birmingham to Manchester, Manchester to Leeds. What about Scotland? So I say down with the trousers and up with a kilt!
We use the power of American diplomacy to advance peace and prevent and mitigate conflict. Together with my counterparts from Israel, Morocco, Bahrain, the United Arab Emirates, and Egypt, I took part in the historic Negev Summit to advance integration and normalization in the Middle East. We brokered a historic agreement between Israel and Lebanon to resolve their long-standing maritime boundary dispute. We supported African-led talks that led to the cessation of hostilities between Ethiopia and Tigrayan forces. We helped bring about a framework agreement to put Sudan back on the path towards civilian-led democracy. We helped secure and later extend a truce in the Yemen conflict.
He made clear yesterday that he does not want them to live on the earth anymore.
Well, indeed.
Good afternoon, John.
Hello.
And good afternoon, viewers.
Hello.
How are you?
You want to lean in a bit?
You want me to lean in a bit?
Yeah, that's better.
Hold on. Let me shifting my chair forward. There we go. Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
Does that look better? Does that sound better?
Sounds better, looks better.
There we go. How are we this afternoon, everybody? And you, John?
Yes, I'm well. I'm well.
Well is better than not well. I've not been well this morning, have I, John?
No.
John discovered, thanks to right. So I had a bit of a shaky wakey this morning, and my hair went a bit mad. And what did you discover about me, John?
Your bald spot.
I've got bald patch. This is technically a comb over.
Yeah, he does have a bald patch.
I do. I have a bald patch from when I was about 4 years old. I tell you, I was on a beach in Camber Sands, if I remember rightly, and we were playing with some other kids, and another kid picked up a massive rock, doshed me over the head, blood everywhere. I'm not sure it was on purpose. I don't really know. I was 4, but blood everywhere. We first of all had to go to a little kiosk where they were using a hose to try and hose off my bloody head. And when they realized that it wasn't stopping, off to the hospital I went, and I nearly died.
Scalp wounds always bleed profusely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was Beats Crate says, how much do you have that much hair, and how do you have that much hair and a bald spot?
Because you get bashed over the head. Is that not an explanation? Anyway. Right.
Jesse says trigger warning for blood would have been nice. Well,
we didn't show you any.
Trigger warning.
We didn't show you any blood.
We didn't show you anything.
Good grief, woman. It's a bit
I mean,
there
are
they
pictures.
are. It's not a syrup.
I was going to say there are pictures.
Right. Okay.
But yes.
Yeah, right. So let's start the show, shall we? Let's talk about Uncle Boris. Where's Uncle Boris gone? First of all, why did he go to Davos?
I thought we were starting with the nurses.
Oh no, we're starting with the nurses. All right, okay. I'm losing it. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
well, let's start with the nurses.
The dementia is setting in.
Yeah, let's start with the nurses.
It is.
Yeah, NHS nice. Socialist NHS, no less.
Socialist NHS.
Report, as a nurse, I'm striking for fair pay. Was the pay not fair when you started?
When you signed the contract for that pay?
Have you not had pay rises since? I believe you have.
Mm-hmm. Did you not negotiate during your contracting period? Because you have the right to do that, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm striking to protect my patients. I'm not quite sure how that works. How does strike, you going on strike and not being there, protect your patients?
Well,
I can't figure that one out.
It's called mental gymnastics.
Right. Okay.
Because not being there, like you say, not being there to actually do the nursing job whilst you're striking is, in their mind, protecting people that need people there to do the nursing job whilst they're out striking. Anyway, yes.
Okay, and the next one, I'm striking to save the NHS. What are you saving the NHS from? That's the first thing. And 2, how do you save the NHS by not being there?
Well, also, if you want a massive pay rise, because that's essentially what they're looking at, a large pay rise, because they're saying on the current pay, they can't afford to live, they can't afford to eat. So an extra 50p is not going to do anything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but
so they obviously want a lot.
Well, yeah, okay, but I mean, let's put this in perspective.
Mm-hmm.
They've not lost any money in the last 3 years.
No, compared to you, for example.
Oh yeah, compared to
hundreds of thousands.
Hundreds of thousands, right?
Yeah.
They've not lost any businesses in the last 3 years.
Compared to you.
Yeah.
Lost 2.
They've probably not lost their house in the last 3 years.
As opposed to you.
Yep. They've probably
lost
not
your house?
lost both their cars.
As opposed to you.
Yep. Both their motorcycles.
I mean, I don't need to keep saying it, do I?
Yeah. My wife's horse.
Mm-hmm.
So a complete and utter lifestyle change.
Yep.
And
having
an education for my daughter. So
yeah.
So really, I don't really have any sympathy for you. You've got a job. you say you're striking for fair pay, but you're asking for an exorbitant raise. Everybody else is in the same boat. Inflation's affecting me as much as it's affecting. In fact, it's affecting me more because I don't have the same income that you have.
No,
you don't have my sympathy. And to be fair, you did very little over the last 3 years. To be fair,
no. Have you seen these tweets though that go from nurses? They're so not self-aware. They're tweeting pictures. I've seen it over the last 24 hours or so. They're tweeting pictures of themselves in full PPE and going, whilst you were at home baking banana bread, I was doing
TikToks. I was doing TikToks.
And then one of them, she's standing there in her full PPE, and then everyone standing just a few feet behind her are wearing nothing.
Yeah.
No mask,
yeah, exactly.
no nothing.
I know.
And it's like...
And you were there. You were delivering pizza to them. En masse.
Yeah.
En masse.
Yeah.
And they were telling you, they were told to bring in board games to keep themselves occupied.
And books.
Yeah.
And books. Speaking to them 5 nights a week, John.
Yep.
Throughout March and April of 2020. 5 nights a week.
I spoke to nurses and they were bored. They were bored out their skull.
Yeah. People can tell me I'm lying all they like. You weren't there. I was. You didn't speak to them. I did. Okay. That was the situation. And in my local hospital, there's a psychiatric ward. And if you remember, we had a heat wave through March and April of 2020. And the psychiatric ward is hidden out of public view. It's behind the hospital, and it's a large hospital, by the way.
Yeah.
Right? And it's hidden out of view. And they've got a very large car park. And this is where they gathered.
Yeah.
They stood in that car park outside in sometimes up to 200-300 people, just standing around chatting. I saw it. I was there. I was in the crowd. I was talking to them. I spoke to executives who walked me through that hospital, right?
Yeah.
They walked me through. One of them was sitting in the office. She's not there anymore, so I can tell you where she was sitting. Her office was right next to the director's office of the trust, right? She walked me in. She walked me through to the staff canteen. Well, not even the staff canteen. It is the hospital restaurant. It's in the basement of the hospital. She walked me in there. It was stacked floor to ceiling with Innova tests. Yeah? That's what they were using it for, a storage room. She just grabbed boxes and gave them to me and said, have fun.
Yeah.
And that's where I got the boxes when we did the energy drinks, when we did the Fanta, when we did the Coke and stuff like that. I was walked in by a hospital executive and given them.
I know.
I know what I'm talking about.
You know, I mean, there's always exceptions, right? I mean, and Adam's trying to stir things up here a bit by saying he'd rather side with the strikers than the government, though. Well, you don't need to side with either. It's possible they're both wrong.
Absolutely.
And what exactly are the government saying? We can't afford to pay you. Well, they probably can't because let's face it, the company's in debt. You know, the country's in debt. The company's in debt. Everything's in debt. You know.
Yeah.
So that argument is moot. Ogum the Bold says he was in ICU. Yeah, well, that happens. Unfortunately, that happens. That happens every year. People end up in ICU, whether they're young, old, or indifferent. Because, you know, I mean, my wife's brother was young, healthy, cycled to his work every day, ended up in ICU with pneumonia. Right?
Yeah, but there were entire departments of that hospital that were just closed.
Oh, well, that's the problem.
They were just closed.
They shut everything. They stopped treating everything. They stopped cancer appointments. They stopped chemotherapy. They stopped people attending to get their hearts checked. They stopped everything, and that is unprecedented. That's never happened in the past.
That is the problem, right? What they did there, and to an extent, what they continue to do. What they continue to do in you not being able to see your GP is the issue and is, I think, a massive driver of our current excess deaths.
Yeah. Well,
I think
there's certainly an element of that in there. There's bound to be, and then you've got to think of the mental health aspect as well, because look at the amount of kids that were deprived of contact with their peers. Look at the amount of kids that have become unsocialized, perhaps. The amount of young people that haven't been able to lead a normal life, haven't been able to meet people, haven't been able to make friends, you know? I mean,
and how do you
don't make friends on Zoom. You just don't, you know?
So you know what the government's going to end up ultimately doing, right? Because they're going to end up ultimately folding in a way. They will, right? In a way. But the way they're going to finance this is we've got our Sajid Javid making comments. Have you seen his comments?
Who?
Say Sajid Javid.
Oh yeah, right.
So he's made a comment on Twitter just, I think yesterday, saying that basically the NHS doesn't survive unless we move to a contribution-based model.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen? How do you think they're going to fund these pay rises? How do you think they're going to fund these extra nurses? They're going to make you, the patient, they're going to make you pay.
Yeah.
They're looking at something like France, where you granted pay what, like €25 to go to the doctor?
Yeah, but you don't grudge it because you can get in the next day, you know?
Yeah,
and you get a full medical when you're there.
But the problem is, just like the ULEZ, this is going to hammer and harm the poor.
Yeah,
but this is what they will do. This is what they will do. I'm telling you now.
Having said that, although you pay that €25 up front, you get that back. You only don't get it back if you're not a citizen.
I'm assuming that there would hopefully be some kind of exception for people, say, on benefits, right?
Well, the thing is, I mean, the French system, effectively, it's free at point of sale, right? Until you get to a certain point, right? Once it goes over a certain amount, you then have to pay, but people generally have insurance if you go over that certain point.
Yeah, I mean, look
it
at
is a two-tier system. It is a two-tier system. If you end up in ICU, you will have to pay, right? But your insurance will cover it generally, and the insurance isn't exorbitant. It's not like America.
See, I'm all for a system that is free at the point of use, right? I'm all for that, but you've got to, if you're going to have that system, and that system currently gets over £1 billion every 3 days, you've got to prioritize how that money is spent towards patient care.
Yeah.
And they are not doing that currently. That money is prioritized, I would say, £100,000 for a lived experience manager. What the fuck is a lived experience manager?
It doesn't matter how it's prioritised in the NHS. The whole NHS is completely mismanaged. That's the problem, right? So until you get a proper management structure in place and manage it properly, then it doesn't matter how much money you throw at the NHS. It's a failed institution.
I mean, Bella says they want private ownership with public funding like the railway. That's exactly what they want.
And how well did that work out? How well did PPP work out for schools when they started building schools, public-private partnerships?
Oh, my God. Yeah, no, those academies.
They fell down in Scotland. Some of them fell down.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think that the Conservatives, and I'm sorry, but if you vote Labour, you're not going to get much different.
It doesn't matter who you vote for.
But Labour started the privatisation of the NHS. Yeah. They started it down that road with the PFI initiative.
But it doesn't matter who you vote for. The aims of government are all the same. And those are...
feather their own nest and control
the people.
You.
That's it.
You.
Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on to the title of today, Yacht Girl. Okay, so Yacht Girl.
No, we haven't done an intro, John.
Oh, we haven't done an intro. My goodness me.
Jesus Christ, you really aren't on it today, are you?
You can see them riding on the pavement. Young kids, they're growing up in basements. Online, a whole new generation. I'ma make mine, so you better go take it. Always, they need a new replacement. Decentralized, can't contain it. We're changing lives, yeah, upgrading. Call it suicide of the older generation. Too late to try to go contain it. A generation fueled by creation. We live lives on a small screen nation. We control the airwaves, no negotiation. I refuse to think we need saving. Something good will come from creation. And when we think that the world is too anxious, we'll adapt, evolve, survive, and save it.
What keeps you up at night, yeah? Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. What keeps you up at night, yeah? Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Oh, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan, and I'm never calling it wrong.
So welcome to episode 191, and I think that was the wrong intro. I think that was the wrong intro.
Well, it doesn't matter because I was dancing.
Anyway, as you can see, it's been a hectic weekend, and we've been working hard. So anyway, yeah, welcome one and all. Episode 191 of Chasing Dissent Live. Bloody hell, 191. 9 episodes away from episode 200.
Do you know what pisses me off?
No,
Do you know what pisses me off? Right?
Tell me.
So we wanted to do 100 from the States. Then we said we could go for 150, right? Then we thought, let's go for 200.
No. Because it's
can't get in.
10th of April at the moment. At the moment, it's extended to the 10th of April. Still can't get in. Yep.
And you know what? I would have said, let's try and get in on the first day just to do a special. But 10th of April, if it stays there, my wife's birthday's just a couple days after. She would never let that happen. No, she wouldn't. She wouldn't.
Right.
Tony Garrett says the French bakers are out on a protest today.
Okay. Well, the French are always in a protest.
Well, I brought home some lovely, genuine French part-baked baguettes so that I can have some lovely French bread at home. French bakers do good bread. That is true.
Yeah. Okay, so Yacht Girl. So this has been trending all weekend after we mentioned it on Online on Friday night.
Yeah, so, ahead of the curve as always.
Yep. Yacht Girl has been trending. So if you see a B actress post scantily clad photos of themselves on social media, this is often a communication that this person is available to rent for a weekend of yachting. Typically worth 30k for the party. Interesting. Okay. Now, I think
that was Meghan Markle who said that, right?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah. No, I think yacht girls do exist. So I think that's fact. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because you look at some of the ugly ass guys that own yachts, and then you see them on their yacht with all these beautiful, scantily clad women, and you think they ain't there by choice.
Yes.
Yes.
So now the question is, was Meghan a yacht girl or not? There's possibly some evidence to suggest she may have been in that circle, right?
Right.
But that doesn't necessarily say that she was a yacht girl, but she's certainly talking about them and knows of them, so she has some kind of insider knowledge, perhaps.
Yeah.
So then this comes up, and I don't like this picture because that is Meghan Markle at the back there, but that doesn't look like she's really there. Because that photograph with that hat and those sunglasses has appeared elsewhere in a completely different setting.
So what you're saying is this looks superimposed.
I think that's been slipped in there. Pardon the expression.
So once again, we move to the adage, believe believe nothing of what you hear and half of what you see, right?
Yeah.
Because this keeps happening, and this keeps happening to people that claim, from people, and people could berate me for this. I don't give two shits. We're an equal opportunities kind of outfit here, and we just report it as we see it. And if people on one side of an aisle are bad and the other side are also doing something bad, I'm happy to just call everybody out. And I keep seeing shit like this from people that claim to be truthers and freedom people. They'll put in fake pictures, fake audio clips, and they keep putting out loads of stuff. And I send them to John all the time, don't I? And I say, this shit just doesn't help anyone.
You do, mate. You do. Can you still hear me okay?
It doesn't. Yeah, hear you fine.
Yeah, I just started to put the light on because I was looking a bit dull. Does that look better?
Yeah, you look beautiful.
Thank
you.
You
look wonderful. You look fantastic. I mean, you're almost up to my standards there. Let's face it, John.
So
I'm the eye candy, and they all know it.
This morning, still trending. Meghan Markle yacht girl.
Yeah.
Meghan Markle exposed. Now, the other thing that we haven't mentioned yet, which you maybe alluded to in the thumbnail, was Uncle Andy.
Uncle Andy.
So the rumour is that Uncle Andy maybe had a go before young Harry.
But once again, this is a rumour.
Yeah.
And if it's come out of the same place as that picture, then you kind of have to take it with, you have to take it with a grain of salt anyway.
You got to take
because
it
there's no
with a grain of salt, don't you?
you do. You have to take everything these days with a grain of salt, because even things like videos these days, deep fakes are so easy to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
There
they
are just websites where you can make them now.
Yep.
I mean, look at the Mandalorian, the Disney Plus Star Wars show, where they literally deep faked Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
It's so easy to do now, and it's concerning, because how long until we start seeing videos of like world leaders, for example, saying things they clearly didn't, well, they definitely didn't say.
I think we've actually seen that. I think we've actually seen that a couple of times. We've certainly seen Putin saying things he never said.
Yeah, it's really, really. And I mean, did you know that this is true? This is absolutely true. And we may have spoken about this before, but Bruce Willis has literally licensed his face to a deep fake company.
Did they
And
not
in
make
Russia.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, in Russia, they've made an advert, haven't they?
Yeah, they have.
They used some old fat bald guy to do the actual video work, and then they deep fake Bruce Willis onto him.
Yeah.
It's Vaughan says someone made an Obama deep fake. Vaughan says, hello there, missed the first 20 minutes. Could you start again, please? No.
Right. I'm going to ban Adam if he doesn't shut the fuck up. I mean, is there a problem with the sound? Can you not hear me?
What do you mean?
Well, he says, does the light make us hear you better?
I don't know.
So if there's a problem with the sound, could someone let us know?
Or is the sound okay? Please let us know, because we will fix the sound on the fly if there's something wrong with it.
Yeah. I just need to know. Sound is fine, all good. Thank you,
Trudy says the sound is fine, all is good. Adam says sounds perfect.
Yeah,
Jesus
well, stop
Christ.
being an arsehole.
Oh, that's because you said, can you hear me?
When
you popped back up.
Yeah, because I moved the microphone, that's why. It's fuck all to do with the light.
Ah,
Jesus
there we go.
Christ, man.
Right.
You try my patience. Try my patience.
So this picture of Keith, let's just move on.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if he is not wearing a seatbelt.
No, he's quite categorically wearing a seatbelt.
I was going to say, that is a seatbelt, isn't it?
He's got a seatbelt on. It's quite easily seen. And everybody jumps on it and goes, are you investigating this, police? Well, no, because he's wearing a freaking seatbelt.
It's right there in the middle of the picture. What are people?
It's like stupidity.
Once again, this helps nobody. This shit helps absolutely nobody. I know people want to attack us, and people have attacked us. You conspiracy theorists, no, what we are people that want to get to the actual truth of a situation. The actual truth of a situation. And that means calling out people who are lying on, let's say, the left. Let's call them the left. And calling out people who are lying, let's say, on the right. And looking at a situation as it is, as we see it, and as we believe it was. Once again, I say this every show. Do not believe us. Look for yourself. He is wearing a seatbelt in that goddamn picture. He is.
Yeah, he is. He is. And there's just no dubiety about it whatsoever. None.
Yeah.
Speaking about dubiety, what the hell's the government up to? Right.
What the fuck is green steel?
Well, right. So there are two British. Well, no, there are one. There's one British company, I think, British Steel, which makes steel in the UK, and another company owned by India called Tata that makes steel in the UK.
Yeah.
Both these companies use a special form of coke for their blast furnaces, right? So coke is derived from coal, isn't it?
Yes.
And it burns hot so as they can melt the steel, or melt the ore to get the steel out, or to get the iron out to then make steel. So the question is, the government want them to switch to electric blast furnaces. Can you imagine what that's going to cost you? Okay, so they want to switch to electric blast furnaces, but they're also opening a coke mine in Cumbria, aren't they? So it's like mixed messages. Tell me what you want.
I want the government to leave us all alone. That's what I want.
Yeah, you know what? I think you're right. Why don't the government just butt out? I mean, really, you will never compete with people making steel in the Far East if start trying to make us use electricity, because
I mean,
they're burning
right.
coal.
I mean, it's not just coal, is it? And it's not just steel. Look at the amount of concrete China continue to pour. Look at the amount of steel they continue to make and use.
Yep.
They poured something like in the last decade, like 3-4 times the amount of concrete that's ever been poured in the United States, ever.
Yeah.
In total.
Yeah, ever.
These people are not slowing down.
Well,
so
can you
why
blame them? Can you blame them?
No, I can't.
Because effectively they want to catch up, right? And you have to remember there are 1.2 million people in China that go to bed every night not having eaten. And
Yes.
I don't mean that skipped a meal. I mean they have not eaten that day. 1.2 million people in abject poverty in China. That's a lot of people.
Right. You're absolutely right. But, they'll say, oh, that's just 1% of our population. And it is.
Less
than 1%.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. The CCP probably don't give a shit, right?
Of course they don't. Of course they don't.
But the people want to get on and they want to bring themselves out of poverty.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Actually, that's a good question in the
Yeah,
chat.
the Ghislaine Maxwell one. Is it? No.
Well, we might do something on that. I'm certainly going to watch it. I've seen some clips from it already, and she's basically saying it's all bollocks. She's going down the "it's basically not true" line. She's sitting there. I don't recognize the person that the media portray me as. I'm not that person that I see in the media.
But did she not get found guilty?
Yeah, but she may well have done, John. But she's going to feign innocence.
Yeah. Okay. Let's.
It's gonna be a car crash. It's gonna be a car crash.
So
let's indeed move on.
On the green agenda, let's carry on then. So Sydney and Melbourne, Australia, are having the coldest summer in 140 years. There's zero evidence that CO2 is causing temperature increase, and yet we are poised to spend trillions to reduce CO2. We are committing economic suicide for no good reason, says Patrick Moore. Okay.
Former head of Greenpeace.
Former founder of Greenpeace. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And pretty well up on climate science.
I would say so.
Yeah.
Far more up on it than Greta.
So, really, I think I tend to favour Patrick Moore. Now, on the same vein, Patrick Moore is also saying that the first small modular nuclear reactor has been certified for operation by the US Nuclear Regulatory Commission. Now, that's good. Okay.
That is good.
Because these tiny reactors will power, they'll produce 50 megawatts, and 12 of them can be on one site. That's a lot of power, and it's good, clean power because it's nuclear and it's cheap. Yeah. Yep.
There is a massive infrastructure cost in advance in order to get it set up.
Well, not
properly
so
and
much
set
for
up
these
safely.
ones. These are tiny. These are like almost like like the kind of thing they use in submarines. It's almost a bit like that. So they're small nuclear reactors, and people worry about them being the uranium being stolen and used for weapons,
I
and that
kind of have to...
they don't need to worry about that because you need a fast breeder to make weapons grade uranium.
So I have to
Plutonium.
push back a little bit actually against our previous slide and Patrick Moore, because I know for a fact that a former friend is currently in Australia, right? Just done the Gold Coast and is just moving into Sydney now. Yeah?
Yeah.
Shorts and t-shirt, blaring heat all the way.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
but that
so why
doesn't
is there
matter.
pictures of snow and stuff.
No, the pictures of snow were nothing to do with Sydney. If you read the rest of it, that was to do with the massive snowfall in the northwest of the
It says
United
Sydney
States.
and Melbourne, Australia, are
Yeah,
having the coldest summer in 140 years.
And then keep reading, and then it goes on about the
but-
northwest getting a lot of snow in America.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, if it's cold, it's still blaring hot.
It's the summer. It's the coldest summer they've had for 140 years. It hasn't topped 30 degrees centigrade. That's the point.
No.
Yeah, but I mean, have you ever been to Australia? It's fucking roasting. I was in Australia in 1988. It was like 35 degrees in Sydney.
Okay.
You could hardly stagger between bars.
I'm
grief,
just
man.
pointing out. I'm just pointing out that it's not exactly cold.
No, it's
Whilst
not.
it may
It's
be
the
the
coldest summer they've had in years. I mean, I quite categorically said the coldest summer they've had in years.
Yes.
I didn't say it was snowing in Australia.
Let's move on.
Grief.
I just have to fact check things. You know, I just have to make
there's
sure
a
things
slide.
are clear.
Sydney's longest spell of days below 30 degrees in 140 years. Coldest start to a year since 1982 in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Historic snow in western US. Helps drive Northern Hemisphere snow mass further above the 1982 to 2012 average. Okay. Now, there's also been a recent paper released by, I think, 6 peer-reviewed scientists or whatever, who are saying that the Northern Hemisphere is set for a severe cold spell until 2050.
Okay.
2050. So,
Belladonna says John's still fasting.
Possible ice age.
Anyway, let's move on.
Moving
to
on.
Vivek.
And talking about nuclear energy, this guy's got a point. Don't you think?
So he says, Vivek Ramaswamy says, the problem with nuclear energy is it is too good. And if you solve the clean energy problem, activists lose their favorite Trojan horse for advancing global equity by penalizing the West. That's what the climate change debate is about. And yes, I absolutely do agree.
I agree with him as well. Yeah.
Because they're basically saying, these so-called climate activists, you know, I think a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them are probably actually terrorists. But they're turning around and they're saying, you UK bad, you UK bad, but here over in India, here over in China, here over in the Far East, where they're contributing 90% of their so-called problem, we're just going to ignore their existence. We're going to leave them alone. 90% of the so-called problem will continue just outside of our field of vision because it's not about them. It's about you, Mr. White Man.
Yep. Drive the white man down.
Yep. It is because it's very clear because even when Gettr was, when she was approached by Avi Yemeni and the others, they said, why don't you go and do this in China? She said, we do not do this in China. We do not do this in China.
She said you could.
You could. So you're not going to go and do it where if what you're saying is a problem, Greta, why not go and protest where that actual problem is? Okay, let's take you at face value. Let's say you're absolutely right, Mrs. Thunberg. We'll take you at face value. Go to where the problem is.
Yeah.
You won't know, will you?
It's a race to the bottom, net zero. It really is. That's all it is. Yeah, and that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to bottom out Western society. I think they seem...
Because we are too rich. Yeah. We are too free.
Yeah. And they don't want this perceived inequality. And pretty soon there won't be a perceived inequality because Western society is going to fall if we continue in this vein. Anyway, moving on. Speaking about falling, right? So I don't know what Nadim's got. Nadim has got on everybody because remember, this is a guy that's always had a good job ever since he became vaccine czar, right? Ever since then, he's had a job in cabinet, hasn't he? Regardless, and that's 3 prime ministers he's gone through.
And who even is this guy? Where is he? Because nobody ever heard from him.
Well, this is YouGov, isn't he? He's the guy behind YouGov.
Yeah.
And nobody heard about him, but now he's been in cabinet under 3 prime ministers. I think he's the only one that survived everything. I mean, he was under Boris, under
maybe
Rishi.
Jeremy Cunt.
Maybe. Okay. So anyway, but this guy's always had a high profile in your face job.
Yeah.
And now that he got found out, avoiding paying £3 million in tax, Well, he avoided it in that he thought he'd avoided it because he didn't get caught evading it. Because that's
he's
effectively
making
what it was.
He's making excuses now. He's saying it was his dad.
Oh, a big boy did it and ran away. Right. So anyway, if you've not paid £3 million of tax and then say I'm going to pay it back only once you've been caught, you or I would be in jail.
Oh, absolutely we would.
Yeah.
Absolutely we would. Especially, we certainly wouldn't still be sitting in cabinet. That's for sure.
But then he has the audacity to go to cop and spend £1,000
of your money
on a keep the meter running limousine service, so he didn't have to wait. He ran up a £1,000 limousine bill in one day. Anyway, so Rishi Sunak is under pressure now because he says he's investigating these tax irregularities. It's beginning to sound like a Father Ted episode, isn't it? The money was just resting in my account. But anyway, this guy's not tenable anymore as a politician. Surely he needs to be fired.
I don't think he ever was tenable as a politician.
But I mean, you know why he's got his seat.
Well, Boris Becker went to prison.
Yeah, well, he did. Yeah. So why is this guy should be in jail? And we've put out videos to say that. In fact, the title of the video is Nadeem Zahawi should be in jail.
Go watch it.
I don't think you can make it any plainer.
I mean, I don't think you could make a lot of what we say any plainer. Like, if you haven't already, go and watch my energy bill video, the halve your energy bill video, and share it. Because do you know what? It's a foolproof bloody plan. People just need to realise what power they actually hold collectively, because they do.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, Lester Piggott, he went to jail as well. Indeed. So China, Sinopharm has got the green light for trials on its own mRNA vaccine.
I thought they were avoiding that tech.
Well, they seem to be going down that route now. So there's been you get you know what China's like. You get convoluted reports coming out of it. You're never quite sure what's going on. You don't know what's what. So some say, you know, they're rampant with disease and the government are keeping a lid on it. Does it really matter? I mean, without saying it, they were all safe and effective, weren't they? Particularly effective.
Effective for something. That's all I will say. Effective at something.
It was a joke. It really was.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Yep. It's a tech that.
And speaking
I am.
Yeah.
I say it's a tech that I am not personally wishing to trial.
Yeah, I'm not going down that route yet.
No,
Scott Adams.
Not for me.
Scott Adams, who's not the most critical of thinkers, despite what you would think he. I mean, you'd think he would
What
be.
What that mate Dilbert?
Yeah, you'd think he'd be a critical thinker, wouldn't you? And yet,
yeah.
Hey, and here he's trying to say there was a toss-up. You know, it was 50-50, and he backed the wrong side. He just took the wrong choice. It wasn't a toss-up. It was quite self-evident. All you had to do was look at the data. All you had to do was look at the risks. All you had to do was look at your personal risk and your societal risk. And there, it wasn't a hard decision.
No, but actually, at the same time, I want to push back because, not against you, but against Scott. Because I think his framing is absolutely just lazy. I think it's insulting.
Yeah,
I think it's... he says the anti-vaxxers won in the end. Well, what's an anti-vaxxer, Scott? Because I'm certainly not one, and that might disappoint people.
But he's not even saying that they won through data. He's saying they won by default because they just guessed right. But there was no guesswork involved here, Scott.
There was no guessworking. There was no guessworking involved here.
He had access to the same data as we had. As someone said, it's not like we get special internet, Scott. You get the same one, you know. The information that you got was the same as the ones we got. So how can we make a decision that proves to be maybe correct? And you can't, you know. And then you've got to sit and worry for the rest of your life.
I mean, this dude went full ham, didn't he? He went full.
Oh, yeah.
You got to wear a mask. You got to
Yeah.
do this. You got to do that. You follow the rules. Scott, the data was there from word dot, and it was because we had the Diamond Princess, for God's sake. The data was there from word dot about what we should have done for the last 3 years. And in the UK, right, I don't know about America, but in the UK, we have a very specific pandemic preparedness plan.
And it got thrown out the
And
window.
we just threw it over our shoulder
In
and
fact,
went, this thing that we've researched and prepared for, fuck that.
Yeah. The WHO had a very specific pandemic plan, right? A playbook, if you will, that they had down to follow. And they completely disregarded it. Completely.
Because
I mean,
China told them
one
to.
of the major things in that playbook was do not shut borders, do not stop travel.
Do not quarantine the healthy.
Yeah. And you just blew them all out the window.
I mean, these are things, right, that no matter how much they want to delete them from existence, they're there still.
And
It's
then
all still there for you to find.
there were 46 peer-reviewed RCT trials that said something.
That said something about maybe covering one's face.
Yeah.
And how it maybe actually could, in fact, make things maybe worse.
Yep. But
Yep,
no, don't just disregard that data. Just disregard it. Right.
It's
now,
mind blowing.
I don't want to seem harsh, okay?
Right.
I mean, because the guy seems nice enough, okay? But again, it's like there's something niggles me about this guy and the way he presents things, and the actions that he did and didn't take. Now, when he comes here about, I mean, his dad died, yeah, you know, that happens, and it's unfortunate, and I'm sorry for your loss, as they say. But he was talking about this report card and how his dad was more proud of the sense of justice description than his academic achievements. So what happened? What happened to your sense of justice before your dad died? That's the part I don't get, because you didn't have one then, because you just followed the narrative and you pushed for, you didn't question. You know, so where was your sense of justice then? Where was your critical thinking and where were your values? Because that's not what I'm seeing now. Now that something personal has touched you, it's a completely different ballgame.
Yeah, and, you know, you're completely right. It is hypocrisy. It's hypocrisy to the highest order. I take these people with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
And the reason I do that, and I was actually speaking to one of our viewers about this on Twitter, just yesterday, in fact, and I was talking about how we view these people, because they come out of nowhere, seemingly, and then get a bit of hero status, right? And then the interviews roll in, and he's on Tucker Carlson, and he's, you know, going on the BBC and bombing things. He's on Laura Ingram, the Ingram Report.
Yeah.
He's on all these, and he's getting himself a lovely bit of exposure. Now, am I saying he is wrong? No, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that with all of these people, I look at them like they have the motive, the ulterior motive, to get themselves noticed, to put themselves in the spotlight, and that comes first. And, you know, that comes to all of these so-called organisations, like the Together Declaration, for example. And we're kind of guilty of it to a sense too, because we want people to watch and see what we're saying, right? We want people to come and watch this show.
Yes, we do, but we don't put ourselves forward as a saviour of anyone. In fact, we don't. We go to pains to say that we don't have the answers and we don't know, you know, how to solve things. I mean, okay, we can maybe tell you how it looks like it's going to go, and there are maybe ways that you can think about solving things, but we don't have all the answers, and we just we're as much in the dark as you guys, except we have fun telling you about it, and and we like to give our opinion because we are outspoken, but we're not.
I phrased that wrong. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What I meant to say is there is an air of self-promotion in what we do.
Oh yeah, of course
right?
there is. You've got to
and
be.
we're absolutely. There's got to be. We're absolutely because we want people to come here.
But-
We want people to change the way they think.
I think the difference between us and the medical profession in particular is that we don't suffer from a God. Well, maybe you do a little bit, but we don't suffer from a God complex. Because
Yeah, I mean,
most of
I'm definitely starting an OnlyFans, John.
most of the medical profession is, and when I say medical profession, I'm pointing at doctors here, right? Especially surgeons, seem to suffer from this overwhelming God complex where they are right and nobody dare question them, you know?
Yeah, but that also comes from fake surgeons, and there are a lot of them on Twitter.
Well,
shall we say?
Yeah, there are. I mean, and there's a lot of fake scientists and people that keep sheep and things like that.
Yep, and yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Well, you know, they like to sell a bit of mutton, don't they, John? Yeah,
Anyway,
they
let's
definitely
move on.
do.
Um,
Let's move on.
So this was brought to my attention. People do have short memories. 2010, the swine flu.
The swine flu epidemic or
Yeah.
pandemic, whatever you want to call it.
It was exposed on Channel 4, and it was basically driven by Big Pharma ramping up the fear levels to sell more product. Do you remember Tamiflu and all that? So they were trying to get
I
rid of
do.
it. And they ramped up the fear to such an extraordinary level that the governments of the West were left with millions of doses of vaccines that nobody wanted, but they'd all already had to pay for. Sounding familiar? It's like almost like we don't learn, you know, from history.
We never do, John. We never do. We never do. And before we move on to our next segment, John, do you have a thought of the day? Have you come up with one?
Yes, I kind of do have a thought of the day. I kind of do. So, my thought of the day is to do with the world as it is and how we perceive it, and in particular the Michelson-Morley experiment, which was designed to show us moving the Earth moving through the ether, and it was designed to show how that as we moved through it, the speed of light would change depending on what direction the experiment was in. Now, that experiment turned out to be inconclusive in that it either showed us that the Earth was not moving or there was no ether. Now, Albert Einstein then went on and tried to describe how things work with his theory of relativity, which a lot of cosmologists are not convinced about. And if you've seen any of our little shorts, there's one with Michio Kaku going on about how cosmology is like out to the power of 120 zeros, 10 to the power of 120. Now, here's the question for you and for Elon Musk in particular, perhaps. If you did this experiment on the moon, right, that would tell us whether the Earth was moving or not, indisputably, through space. Because
You've got to get to the moon, though.
well, yeah, you've got to get to the moon, but if anybody's going to get to the moon, it's got to be Elon or NASA, has it not? Or Elon and
yeah,
NASA.
I would say so.
Right,
I'd
so
say
if
so.
you can take this experiment, and it's not a big experiment, you could do it on the moon. In fact, the question is, why wasn't it done by the Apollo crew on the moon? Because if this experiment shows that we're not moving on the moon, or shows no movement on the moon, then we know that the ether doesn't exist, right? However, if this experiment shows that the moon is moving through the ether, then we know the Earth is actually at the center of the universe. And that might sound crazy to you guys, but remember, just because the Earth is supposed to be orbiting the sun doesn't mean that it's not at the center of the universe, because two bodies don't orbit independently. You know, one doesn't orbit the other. What happens is they orbit the center of mass. And if the Earth just so happens to be in the center of mass for the universe, then everything orbits around us. And it's funny because almost everything does orbit around us when you look at the sky. So that's my thought for today. Take it to the moon.
Take it to the moon. And we're going to have to run through our next slides very, very quickly because we are soon going to be joined by our special guest for the day, Henry Hoorah. So let's move on and let's bang these out and tell people, oh, look, it's Blair.
Yeah, right. So why is he banging about something that's been completely discredited? It is discredited.
Because, yeah, look.
Control.
It was discredited before it was ever introduced.
Yeah, control.
There's 4 decades of research on this.
Control.
4 decades. And
Control.
you're absolutely right. Control. And also, once again, I don't like the framing here.
Yeah.
Tony Blair rages at unforgivable and stupid critics of wearing masks. Now, this is going to sound controversial, again, this statement, but just work me on it because I'll explain it. I am not a critic of wearing masks. Right?
Right.
I am a critic of people being forced to wear masks. If people want to walk around the supermarket looking like a ninja, you go right ahead. That's none of my business.
I'm a critic of people being forced and a critic of people thinking that they're making any kind of difference.
Yeah, that too, because obviously they think that they are. I was in Tesco yesterday, for example. And there was a woman walking around with her face wrapped in a scarf. And I thought, why? But
okay.
But
right. So anyway, young Tony here.
Yeah, screw you, Tony.
Was also going on about a digital database to monitor who is vaccinated and who's not for a future pandemic. Now, hold on a minute.
What future pandemic?
Whoa. What would it matter what vaccinations you had now for a future pandemic that maybe would likely be a completely unrelated disease to anything that we've got?
Control.
Boris Johnson Boris went to Davos. Why? Is Boris not a backbencher? Why is he in Davos?
He had some private meetings that he will not. I will not disclose the nature of those private meetings.
Why does he then go to Ukraine and meet the idiot again, the idiot Zelensky?
Do we think Boris is poisoning himself for a hostile takeover?
Or do you think Boris is an envoy from the masters that control Zelensky? Because every time Boris goes to see Zelensky, something changes the next day. So I'm just waiting for something to change in Ukraine.
Right, but still, is he positioning himself? Look at all this exposure I'm getting. It's me. I'm Boris. I'm here. I'm doing this.
Maybe.
He's making sure the cameras are on him, and he's making sure the tweets are about him.
Yeah, well, he's made sure of that, hasn't he? By taking £800,000 loaded in, getting the guy a cushy job at the BBC. Well, there's one way to keep the cameras on you. Yeah.
Yeah, well, he's doing it, right? I think he's positioning himself for either a hostile takeover or
or another job.
Making sure he is the one running at the next election. Because let's face it, if Rishi runs the Tories are sunk.
Yeah, right. So, this video, Zelensky here. It's a video, and I'm not going to bother showing it. But Zelensky's here talking to someone, and he's making out he doesn't understand the Russian word for something, and he's asking, "Oh, this is a Russian word." Yes, Zelensky's not a native Ukrainian speaker. Everything he's done in the past, was filmed in Russian. All his TV shows were done in Russian. He's a native Russian speaker. He had to learn Ukrainian before the elections. So there's your actor in action.
Well, this is it. He is an actor. He is playing a part, and he's always been playing a part. And when all of these people, like, I'm just going to criticize actors in general because loads of people idolize, worship celebrities, actors. And these celebrities and actors make all of these political videos. They're like, climate change, vote for this person, these people are evil, do this, do that. And they put them out to the public on behalf of maybe a political candidate or the current government of the day. They are reading a script, ladies and gentlemen. These people are paid to play pretend. Do not believe that the words coming out of their mouth are anything more than a script to manipulate you because you have a fixation or an idolization on that person, and they know, the people behind it know, that the words of those scripts or that script carries far more weight coming out the mouth of Robert Downey Jr., John Bon Jovi, Scarlett Johansson, all of these people that do this shit. It is a script. It isn't real. They're not real. I mean, they're barely real people, to be honest.
Yeah, you're correct. You're correct.
I know I'm correct. I'm always correct, John.
So it appears the American administration is coming around to my way of thinking. They don't want Russia to fall. And they don't want Ukraine to get tanks.
Well, and I can tell you why. Another reason they don't want Ukraine to get US tanks, because at some point, if they keep poking the old Russian bear, the Russian bear's just going to go, well, it looks like America is actually just declaring war on us from Ukraine. Let's declare war on America. Let's send some nuclear bomb.
Well, there's always a possibility of that. I suppose there is. But yeah, I mean, Germany's obviously trying to hold back the tanks as well. Poland, they want to put the tanks in. Tanks are primarily an offensive weapon. Why do you need tanks if you want to defend your homeland? You know? I think the biggest problem that Germany... I think the biggest problem Germany's thinking is if Ukraine get tanks and let's just say against all odds they made some kind of breakthrough, the next thing you're going to see is German tanks on Soviet soil. That's not good optics.
No, it's not good optics. And let's move on, because I can't believe... I mean, Lindsey Graham has been a bit of a joke completely for the last couple of years, I would say. The man's gone off his rocker, but he says if Putin gets away with this, there goes Taiwan.
How? What's Taiwan got to do with Ukraine? Is Putin going to take Taiwan?
Well, no, I can see the thinking, right? I can't, because I've actually said this before, that if this is allowed to happen, if he annexes it, China will be emboldened because they're Russia's allies and go, oh look, we can now go take Taiwan because West is not going to stop us. Right? That's basically...
China doesn't...
That's Lindsay's thinking.
Yeah, but China doesn't need to be emboldened. China's already there. China's working towards taking Taiwan. China's just... It's more patient than Russia, but it's still going to do it. It will do it. I mean, I don't know when it'll do it, but it will do it. It will take Taiwan, and America won't be able to stop it.
Oh, yeah, it is a matter of if, when, not if, sorry.
Yeah.
It is a matter of... But then he continues with another statement, which I don't think I believe. He says that everything we've said... if Putin is successful in Ukraine and is not prosecuted under international law, everything we've said since WW2 becomes a joke, he will continue beyond Ukraine. And that's the part of the statement. Why? Why would he continue beyond Ukraine?
Well, if we look at the other great superpower that has thrown its weight around, I suppose maybe he's got a point, because that's sort of continued throwing its weight around all over the globe, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't really stop. I mean, okay, it's had its nose bloodied a few times, like Afghanistan.
Let's go and deliver some freedom.
Vietnam, I mean, it's had even Libya kind of got its nose bloodied, didn't it? It's not often you get your ambassador raped with a broom handle and left for dead.
I tell you what, USA, you can come and deliver us some freedom any bloody time.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Well, you know what? You got to watch out. I mean, you think about it, Gaddafi goes to sell oil, not in dollars. Whoa, deliver freedom. Hussein goes to sell oil, not in dollars. Whoa, deliver freedom. Saudi Arabia talking about selling oil, not in dollars. Oh, watch this space. Cause
do you think some freedom's going to be delivered to the Saudi women?
It's tricky, that one. It's tricky, that one.
It's very, very tricky, that one, because the amount of money simply flowing through that country, the amount of money simply the royal family have themselves. I mean, one of them lives 365 days a year in pretty much 5-star hotels, just flying on a private jet from one to one to one to one to one.
Oh, I know.
And it's like nothing to them, right? Let's move on anyway. The Sirius project. Arestovich in his own words. And what's he saying there, John?
Well, he's been interviewed and he's talking about Ukraine's chances, and basically what he's saying is if anyone thinks they're guaranteed to win the war, then it's very unlikely, especially after the 14th of January, after the things that have occurred then. So he's very much saying that, and he had an inside view, so he knows what's going on. Because if you look at Defensive U or whatever, I mean, their numbers are just going sky high. They're saying they're killing, Russian troops left, right, and centre. Now, the best estimate I've seen so far is 80,000 Russians dead, right? So if 80,000 Russian troops are dead, with US intelligence on conservatively estimating it's a 1 to 10 to 15 kill ratio, that means 800,000 dead Ukrainians. So I can't see 800,000 dead Ukrainians. So I don't think they've killed that many Russian troops.
Well, I think you're probably right. But once again, the fog of war is what we are looking at.
Very difficult.
We don't know what is and is not true.
Yeah.
And ladies and gentlemen, it is time to obey. This is from Illuminati Bot, and I mean this account is huge.
Yeah, well, and this annoys me. This annoys me, right? Because, I mean, great movie, okay, I liked it. Cult movie, a John Carpenter movie, they usually tend to be cult movies, but they opened at the #1 spot at the US box office in 1988. It did, yes. And disappeared from theatres soon afterwards because it revealed hold on. Because it revealed too much truth about how the elite control our reality, subduing people. Well, yeah, it showed all that, but is that why it disappeared from the box office, or was it just because it wasn't making money?
Well, this is it.
Because
especially back then,
it
had a boom of an opening, and then once your theatrical run is dry, you remove the flick.
Right. So it opened in November, right? To 4.5 million or something.
Not bad, especially for back then.
Second week it only did like 1.8 million.
Yeah, still not bad.
Third week it was down to just over 1 million, and fourth week it was down to just over 500,000.
Yep.
Right? So then didn't appear in the fifth week. Gone. Because then you've got your Christmas movies coming out, because this opened in November. It's not a Christmas movie, and that's 4-week run, you're into December, Christmas movies start coming out, disappears, okay?
There's not a conspiracy here. There isn't.
And then all you need to do is have a quick look back at the year before, 1987, John Carpenter released another movie the year before. What was it? No, it wasn't Ghost of Mars, was it? Oh,
was it The Thing?
What?
Was it The Thing?
No. It wasn't. It was something else. But it was another John Carpenter movie.
Yep.
I don't know why I can't remember it. Age, probably. But it was a John Carpenter movie, so it was directly comparable. It was released at almost exactly the same time. It was released in October at box start number 2, okay? And it lasted 3 weeks. So there's no conspiracy here. It's just, this is how movies... I mean, they were putting
especially
out movies.
Horror movies, right?
Yeah, but they were pumping out movies left, right and centre then.
Yes, of course they were. And they made them on the cheap. They made them on the quick, if they could. They pumped them out. They got a good return at the box office, and then they got them out.
Yeah.
And then the thing is, it's not like the film disappeared, because you can go and watch it right now.
Yeah, of course you can. In fact,
it came out on home video.
Fun fact. It released in a cinema, re-released in a cinema in Australia in 2021.
Nice.
And it made $270.
Nice.
That was that. $270.
Not many people went.
Yeah.
Because also 270 Australian dollars is more like 140 US dollars.
Yeah, and you probably find that nobody was allowed to go anyway because it was like 2021.
Well, exactly. Yeah. And even if they were allowed to go, there were so many stupid rules they had to follow.
Yeah, I know.
That they were just like, nah, fuck that. Do you know what I'll do? I'll go and get it on Netflix, or I'll get it on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
I'm not, and that's what they did. That's what people did in that time.
That's what they did.
Anyway, we've got to bang through these next segments because we're already 5 minutes over, and we need to see Henry.
Well, do you want me to cut and we'll just go and see Henry?
I tell you what, let's. You
talk to them.
I'll talk to them. I will talk to them. because we did have a few more slides, but time has indeed got away from us, ladies and gentlemen, and our special guest needs to come along. But if you have enjoyed our candid, our hopefully entertaining and funny little look at the news today, please hit that like button if you haven't already. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Sharing is very important. Sharing, ladies and gentlemen, is indeed caring. And we care about you. So hopefully you can reciprocate that care. And one more thing. Please consider a donation. I know people can't afford much at the moment, but if you can, to help us keep the lights on here, head to patreon.com/Chasing Dissent, or indeed Ko-fi, ko-fi.com/Chasing Dissent. And consider a small monthly donation just to help improve what we do here, build it bigger, build it better. I mean, the ultimate goal is to get a Florida studio so that we can sit together in the sunshine and do this full time. Subscribing, very important. We've passed the 4,000 hours required by YouTube. So, please hit that subscribe button. And ladies and gentlemen, for the third time, I would like to introduce our special guest for the end of the show, Mr. Henry Hoorah.
Greetings, people. Thank you for bearing with me. And we'll continue the story. If you recall, I was talking about my mother, and I go on. Maybe she was omnipresent for the very same reason that she was indescribable. Because she was light, pure and radiant light. And how can you really describe light? Even Einstein struggled with that one. Recently, astronomers rearranged their biggest telescopes, aimed them at one tiny crevice in the cosmos, and managed to capture a glimpse of one breathtaking sphere, which they named Earundel, the old English word for morning star. Billions of miles off and probably long vanished, Earundel is closer to the Big Bang, the moment of creation, than our own Milky Way, and yet it's somehow still visible to mortal eyes because it's just so awesomely bright and dazzling. That was my mother. That's why I could see her, sense her, always, but especially that April afternoon at Frogmore. That, and the fact I was carrying her flag. I'd come to those gardens because I wanted peace. I wanted it more than anything. I wanted it for my family's sake and for my own, but also for hers. People forget how much my mother strove for peace. She circled the globe many times over. Carbon footprint. Traipsed through minefields, cuddled AIDS patients, consoled war orphans, always working to bring peace to someone somewhere, and I knew how desperately she would want, did want peace between her boys and between us two and Pa, and among the whole family. For months the Windsors had been at war. There'd been strife in our ranks off and on, going back centuries, but this was different. This was a full-scale public rupture, and it threatened to become irreparable. So though I'd flown home specifically and solely for Grandpa's funeral, well, there I'd asked for this secret meeting with my older brother, Willie.
Secret?
And my father to talk about the state of things, to find a way out. But now I looked once more at my phone and once more up and down the garden path, and I thought, maybe they've changed their minds. Maybe they're not going to come. For half a second I considered giving up, going for a walk through the gardens by myself, or heading back to the house where all my cousins were drinking and sharing stories of Grandpa. Then at last I saw them. Shoulder to shoulder, striding towards me. They looked grim, almost menacing. More, they looked tightly aligned. Stomach dropped. Normally they'd be squabbling about one thing or another, but now they appeared to be in lockstep, in league. The thought occurred to me, hang on.
Lockstep, that's an interesting word.
Are we meeting for a walk or a duel? I rose from the wooden bench, made this tentative step towards them, gave a weak smile. They didn't smile back. Now my heart really started thrashing in my chest. Deep breaths, I told myself. Apart from fear, I was feeling a kind of hyper-awareness and a huge, intense vulnerability, which I'd experienced at other key moments of my life. Walking beside my mother's coffin, going into battle for the first time, giving a speech in the middle of a panic attack. There was that same sense of embarking on a quest and not knowing if I was up to it. while also fully knowing there was no turning back. The fate was in this saddle. Okay, Mummy, I thought, picking up the pace. Here goes. Wish me luck. We met in the middle of the path. Willie, Pa, hello. Harold, painfully tepid.
Thank you, Henry. We really appreciate you telling us your life story over the course of this year. We couldn't be more proud of your bravery. We couldn't be more proud of how deep Adam says you are going with this. You have been nothing but excellent. Thank you.
That's some powerful stuff from Henry there.
It really is. It really is. It's deep. It's emotional. You know, we're talking about Willie.
Willie and Pa. Pa.
Willie!
Pa.
When was
Willie.
the last time you were pegged,
Pa.
Willie?
Pa. And with that, I'd like to thank Henry, as always, for popping in at the last minute and giving us some experience that we're unlikely to repeat. And thank you, Ben, for attending this episode 191 of Chasing Dissent Live with me, your host John, and Ben. And with that, it's been great for you.
For you.
Cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make.
Yo, I got a lot of shit to say, so I'ma do this every day. I'll be writing things until I'm fucking buried in my grave. 6 feet deep under, but my body won't decay. Cause my messages are timeless, so they'll put them on display. Oh yeah, I rap with a certainty, I have a sense of urgency. A message for eternity, for everyone internally. I had some people burning me, but now they fucking learn to see I ain't the one to fuck with. Now they looking nervously, and I don't really care what you think of me respectfully. You can kick rocks if you think you're fucking better, see. I will outwork you, turn you to an enemy. Hurt you so bad that you're gonna need some therapy. I got the motherfucking recipe. I've been cooking up hits, I'ma leave a legacy. You'll be looking small when you're standing right next to me. I'm 5'10", bitch, but I'm 10 feet
Cause I
next
don't
to
give
me.
a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Yeah, I'ma do it my way.
I can't contain it, I'm coming out with a statement. You really changed, man, all your music and arrangement. You don't know shit, shut your mouth, you can save it. I'm the same dude that got his come up from the basement. 100 songs, 100 weeks, didn't change it. Experiments, development, intelligence, and patience. I'll do it all again, cause I never feel complacent. Let's keep the good vibes, positivity's contagious. I'm never looking back, cause I made a life that's passionate. A college graduate suppressing all his talents, yeah. He found a way to go and change, become an advocate. For taking control of your life, go out and battle. And you think you have a dream, then act on it. Get after it, get out your head and fucking capture it. You got one life to master it. Don't give up on your future, we all start losers. We're all late bloomers, gotta start
I don't
through
give
the
a fuck
sewer.
what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to